My neighbor and brother secretly filed to have me declared mentally unfit, so they could seize control of my house and finances. I was furious, but I played along, acting unstable, while secretly recording every conversation. When I presented the recordings in court, the judge shredded their petition in front of them and slapped them both with restraining orders so strict they couldn't even drive down my street without risking arrest. I live in Denton, Texas. It's one of those towns that thinks it's bigger than it is. College kids fill the bars at night, but in the neighborhoods, it's mostly working folks, retirees, people who've lived here for decades. Like me. My parents bought this house back in the late 70s. They worked every day of their lives to keep it. When they passed, they left it to me. No mortgage. No liens. Just a solid home and a few acres of land. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. Every inch of it. I'm not married. No kids. I live a quiet life. Work part-time at a hardware store, volunteer at the VFW when I can. I don't make a lot of noise, and I don't bother anybody. But I had two problems. One was my younger brother, Wade. Growing up, Wade was trouble. Always getting into fights, breaking things, lying. He was the type that would make a mess and blame it on someone else. My parents spoiled him rotten, hoping he'd straighten out. He never did. Instead, he grew into a full-blown leech. Always borrowing money, never paying it back. Always making promises he never kept. I cut him off a long time ago, except for the occasional polite conversation on holidays. The second problem was my neighbor, Nancy. Nancy moved into the house next door after her divorce. She came on sweet at first, real Southern hospitality type. Baked cookies, waved every time she drove by, invited me to her church socials. But you could tell, underneath all that sugar, there was poison. She was the neighborhood gossip, stirring up drama wherever she could. I learned real quick to keep things polite but distant with her. Still, I didn't realize how close Wade and Nancy had gotten until it was too late. I started noticing them talking in hushed tones out by the fence. Wade, who barely used to visit, suddenly started showing up all the time. They'd sit out on Nancy's porch, whispering and laughing. Sometimes, I'd catch them staring at my house like it was some prize they were planning to split. At first, I thought maybe they were just commiserating, two bitter, broken people finding comfort in each other's misery. I should have known better. One morning, I opened my front door to find two sheriff's deputies standing on my porch. They were polite but firm. They handed me a thick envelope, said it was a court summons, and told me to have a nice day. I could tell by the looks on their faces that they thought they were doing something good, like they believed they were protecting a vulnerable old man. Inside the envelope was a bomb. It was a petition to have me declared mentally incompetent. Wade and Nancy had filed it together. They claimed I was experiencing delusions, engaging in erratic and dangerous behavior, unable to manage basic tasks. They even claimed I'd threatened violence against my neighbors. The language was chilling, cold, professional, and brutal. They were painting me as a crazy old man, unfit to live alone, incapable of making decisions. They wanted the court to appoint a conservator to protect me, namely, Wade. In short, they wanted to steal everything I had worked for, my home, my savings, my life, while locking me up in some assisted living facility where I'd rot away and be forgotten. I sat down at my kitchen table and stared at those papers for a long time. Shock gave way to anger. Anger gave way to a cold, calculated rage. They thought I was weak. They thought I was stupid. They thought I would panic and lash out, proving their lies true. But I wasn't going to give them that satisfaction. If they wanted crazy, I'd give them crazy, on my terms. First thing I did was get smart. I started acting the part they wrote for me. When I mowed the lawn, I did it at weird times, like 7 at night or 6 in the morning. When I went to the store, I wore mismatched shoes and muttered to myself. I let my beard grow wild. When I saw Wade or Nancy outside, I'd wave at them a little too enthusiastically, shouting things like, The birds told me secrets today. They ate it up. I could see it in their smug little smiles. But behind closed doors, I was laying traps. I ordered 3 hidden voice recorders online. 2 small enough to fit into my shirt pocket, and 1 larger one that looked like a regular alarm clock. I set them up around my house and started carrying one with me whenever I was outside. I recorded everything. Every conversation. Every visit. Every little moment where Wade and Nancy let their masks slip. It didn't take long. Wade would come by, pretending to check in on me. But the real reason was clear. He wanted to get a look at the house, see if there was anything he could claim was a hazard, to bolster his case. Nancy would drop hints about how it might be better if I moved into a retirement home. She'd talk about how hard it must be to keep up with the house, how nice it would be for someone else to live here. One night, when they thought I was asleep, I caught them talking in Nancy's backyard. Wade, once the court gives me control, I'm selling it first chance I get. Nancy, you owe me a cut. Remember that. Wade, you'll get your money. Just stick to the story. It was sickening. But it was pure gold for me. Meanwhile, I got my ducks in a row. I found a private psychologist in Fort Worth, 2 towns over, and scheduled an appointment under a fake reason, said I was interested in therapy for stress. I paid cash. Over the next month, I went to 3 sessions, making sure the doctor got a good, thorough look at me. The result? I was completely sane. No delusions. No impairments. No issues whatsoever. The doctor even wrote a letter stating it. I tucked it away with my recordings, building my arsenal. All the while, I kept playing my part. At the grocery store, I'd argue with the frozen peas. At the gas station, I'd pretend to forget how to pump gas until some poor kid helped me. Every weird thing I did made its way back to Nancy, who gleefully added it to their evidence folder. I made it easy for them to dig their own graves. Finally, the court date came. I walked into that courtroom dressed in old jeans and a faded shirt. I hadn't shaved in weeks. I shuffled when I walked. I kept my eyes low and mumbled to myself under my breath. Wade and Nancy sat on the other side of the room, grinning like cats who caught a canary. Their lawyer, a sleazy guy named Bixby, stood up and painted me as a danger to myself and others. Talked about how I'd lost touch with reality. How I was neglecting basic hygiene. And causing disturbances in the neighborhood. Nancy cried. Actual tears. Claimed she was scared to live next door to me. Wade choked up, talking about how he just wanted to take care of his big brother. It was a real soap opera. The judge, a stern woman in her 60s, listened patiently. Then she turned to me. Do you have anything you wish to say in response, Mr. Carter? I stood up slowly. Shuffled over to the table. Pulled a small flash drive out of my pocket and handed it to the bailiff. Yes, Your Honor. I have evidence. The courtroom went silent as the judge plugged the drive into her laptop. For the next 20 minutes, the room filled with the sound of Wade and Nancy plotting, laughing, planning my downfall. There was no mistaking their voices. No mistaking their words. When the audio finished, you could hear a pin drop. The judge looked at them like they were cockroaches. She picked up their petition and shredded it with a letter opener right there at the bench. Tore it into pieces and threw it into the trash. Then she spoke, her voice low and furious. This court finds that the petitioners have acted in bad faith. Not only is the respondent fully competent, but the petitioners have engaged in a conspiracy to defraud this court. She issued restraining orders on the spot. 500 feet. No contact. No driving by my house. No stopping on my street. No accidental meetings at the grocery store. If they violated it, even once, they would be arrested immediately. Wade tried to argue. The judge slammed her gavel so hard the clerk jumped. Afterward, I walked out of that courthouse into the sunshine feeling 10 feet tall. Wade disappeared not long after. Rumor had it he moved to Oklahoma, chasing some other scam. Nancy stuck around for a few more months, but the neighborhood turned cold on her. People stopped waving. Stopped inviting her to anything. She sold her house at a loss and moved to Houston. The house next door has been empty ever since. Sometimes I sit on my porch with a cup of coffee and stare at it. And I smile. Because crazy doesn't mean stupid. And revenge, when served cold and careful, is sweeter than anything else in the world. For a while, it was quiet. Wade was gone. Nancy was packing up her life into a moving van. The house next door sat empty, the grass growing wild. I thought maybe that was the end of it. I thought maybe they had gotten the message. I was wrong. About 3 months later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper typed, "You think you won? Enjoy it while you can, old man. Payback's coming." No signature. No threats specific enough for police to act on. Just vague enough to scare you, just real enough to make you look over your shoulder. I figured it was Wade. He always was too much of a coward to face things head on. Still, I wasn't about to take chances. I upgraded all my locks. Put up security cameras around the house, front yard, backyard, driveway. Got motion lights installed too, ones that would light up the whole damn street if you sneezed wrong near my fence. And I bought myself a new friend, a big German shepherd pup I named Duke. Duke had a bark like thunder and teeth like razors. Sweet as pie to me, but I pitied the fool who tried coming through my front door without permission. Life settled down again. For a little while. Then the break-in started. First time, it was just my mailbox. Somebody jimmied it open and tossed all my mail into the ditch. Second time, somebody let all the air out of my truck tires while it was parked in my driveway. Third time, I woke up at 2 a.m. to the sound of a rock smashing through my living room window. I called the police each time. They wrote reports, nodded sympathetically, but nothing ever came of it. No fingerprints, no witnesses, no arrests. They suggested it was just random vandalism. I knew better. It was Wade. It had his greasy fingerprints all over it, not literally, but in spirit. Petty, sneaky, cowardly. But I still had the restraining order. And my cameras. I wasn't about to play helpless. I moved my bedroom into the back room so no one could see a light on late at night. I kept my shotgun by the bed. And every night before I went to sleep, I made sure every camera was armed, every door bolted, every window locked tight. I wasn't going to let fear run me out of my own home. One night, about 2 weeks after the window incident, Duke started going nuts around 3 a.m. Barking, growling, throwing himself at the front door. I grabbed the shotgun and checked the cameras from my phone. There he was. Wade. Standing in my front yard like he owned the place. Looking straight into the camera, smirking. He held up a gas can and a box of matches. My heart about stopped. I called 911 so fast I almost dropped the phone. But before the police could get there, Wade started pouring gas along my front porch, trailing it down the steps, onto the lawn. I watched it in real time, helpless. And then, he lit a match. I screamed into the phone at the dispatcher, but it was already done. The fire caught fast, eating up the dry wood of the porch. Smoke started curling up past the windows. I grabbed Duke and we bolted out the back door, coughing and half blind. By the time the fire trucks arrived, the whole front half of the house was in flames. They managed to save most of it. The roof held. The fire didn't get past the living room, thanks to the quick response. But the damage was bad enough. Thousands of dollars worth. Memories, furniture, family photos, all scorched or ruined. I stood there on the sidewalk, Duke trembling beside me, watching my home burn. And right there, across the street, standing under a street lamp, was Wade. Smiling. Like he was proud. Police tackled him before he could even run. Turns out, That restraining order violation combined with attempted arson was enough to lock him up good and tight. They cuffed him, shoved him into the back of a cruiser, and read him every charge in the book. For once, he didn't smile. For once, he looked scared. Real scared. I made sure to stand there and watch the whole thing, arms crossed over my chest. I didn't say a word. Didn't have to. The law would do my talking now. I thought that would be the end. Wade was in jail. I was working with insurance to repair my house. Duke stuck close to me, like he understood we weren't out of the woods yet. But then, just when I thought the worst was over, something new hit me like a brick to the chest. Nancy. Turns out, she wasn't finished either. A few weeks after Wade's arrest, I got another court summons. This time, Nancy was suing me for emotional distress. Claimed that my erratic behavior and the events resulting in the fire had traumatized her. That she had suffered nightmares, anxiety, and loss of community standing. She wanted damages, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was almost laughable, except it wasn't funny at all. Because when I read deeper into the paperwork, I realized what she was trying to do. Blame me for the fire, Wade said. In her version of the story, she had tried to warn people about my mental decline, but nobody had listened. And now, according to her, she was a victim of retaliation for her concern. It was pure garbage, and it made my blood boil. She was trying to use the damage Wade caused, the fire he set with his own damn hands, to squeeze me for money. And it didn't stop there. She'd gotten a lawyer. A slick, high-priced one from Dallas, not some small-town hack like Bixby. This guy knew how to twist a story. He filed motion after motion, dragging me back to court again and again, bleeding my wallet dry with legal fees, trying to wear me down. Insurance stalled on paying out my fire claim because of the lawsuit. Repairs on my house ground to a halt. Bills piled up. Stress kept me awake at night. It felt like the walls were closing in. And that's when I realized they were working together. Even from jail, Wade was pulling strings. Nancy was his weapon now. He wanted to break me, if not by stealing my house, then by bankrupting me fighting to keep it. I was trapped. Or at least, they thought I was. I went back through my recordings. All of them. Hours and hours of audio I had stored on backup drives, some of it I hadn't even listened to fully before. And there it was. A little conversation I had forgotten about, recorded months earlier, right after I started playing crazy. Nancy and Wade, sitting on her back porch, wine glasses clinking. Nancy, you really think this is gonna work? Wade, he's not smart enough to fight back. Nancy, good. Because once he's gone, I'm putting this house on the market. Already talked to a realtor. Wade, you're not gonna short me, are you? Nancy laughs. Relax. You'll get your half after my pain and suffering lawsuit clears. 2 birds, 1 stone. Clear as day. Proof they planned it together. Not just stealing my house, but planning to profit off destroying me after the fact. It was better than gold. I handed it over to my new lawyer. Yeah, I got a new one, a pit bull from Dallas who had gone after corrupt city officials before. Not cheap. I had to cash out part of my retirement savings to afford her. But it was worth it. When we showed up at court for Nancy's emotional distress case, we didn't just walk in, we walked in swinging. My lawyer submitted the recording into evidence right away. Nancy's face went white as a sheet when she heard her own voice play back over the speakers, laughing about suing me before a fire ever happened. Her lawyer tried to object, said it was taken without consent. But Texas is a one-party consent state. You only need one person in the conversation to agree to recording, and lucky for me, that person was me. The judge listened to the whole thing. Not once. Twice. When it ended, he leaned back in his chair, looked at Nancy, and said real slow. Ms. Templeton, you have 30 seconds to explain why I shouldn't hold you in contempt for attempting to defraud this court. Nancy stammered. Cried. Lied. Blamed Wade. Blamed me. Blamed the neighbor's cat for all I know. None of it worked. The judge dismissed her lawsuit with prejudice, meaning she couldn't ever bring it back. And he fined her. Heavily. Tens of thousands of dollars. Money she didn't have. It didn't take long for the dominoes to fall after that. Nancy's house went into foreclosure. She skipped town in the middle of the night, running from debt collectors. I heard she's living in a one-bedroom apartment outside Galveston now, waiting tables, dodging process servers. As for Wade, his arson charge stuck. He got sentenced to 5 years. He tried to plead for leniency, said he was emotionally manipulated by Nancy. The judge didn't buy it. Neither did anyone else. But me? I stayed. I rebuilt my front porch better than before. Real hardwood this time, solid enough to dance on. I got new furniture, new appliances. Duke got a custom-built doghouse bigger than some college dorm rooms. And every morning, when I sit on my porch with my coffee, I watch the sun come up over that empty lot where Nancy's house used to be. And I smile. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't just winning. It's surviving. It's thriving. It's knowing that when they tried to destroy you, you didn't just fight back. You buried them with their own lies. I wish I could say that was the end of it. That after Nancy ran off and Wade got locked up, I lived happily ever after. But life's never that simple. The truth is, winning cost me more than I realized at the time. After the fire, even after I rebuilt the house, it never felt the same. The smell of smoke lingered in the walls, no matter how much fresh paint I slapped on. Little things were missing. The old photo albums, my dad's army medals, my mom's favorite chair. Stuff you can't replace with an insurance check. And inside me, something hard and cold had settled that hadn't been there before. I didn't trust people the way I used to. Neighbors would wave, and I'd wave back, but there was a wall between us now. I kept waiting for someone else to smile to my face and plot behind my back. Duke noticed it too. He stuck closer to me, like he knew I wasn't ready to lower my guard. About a year after the trials ended, I heard Wade tried to appeal his sentence. Claimed mental health issues. Said he was manipulated by a predatory neighbor. Said I pushed him to it by refusing family help. All lies, of course. I didn't go to the hearing. Didn't even send a letter. Let him rot. He lost the appeal, anyway. Got slapped with another year added onto his time for filing false statements. Some people never learn. Nancy didn't fare much better. One afternoon, I got a call from an old neighbor, Lyle, one of the few folks I still trusted. He told me Nancy had been arrested down in Galveston. Identity theft. Credit card fraud. Apparently, she tried to open a line of credit under someone else's name to keep living her fancy lifestyle. Got caught red-handed. Facing prison now. Good. They deserved each other. Two snakes, strangling themselves with their own lies. I changed too. I'm not the man I used to be. Before all this, I believed in second chances. I believed family was family, no matter how much they screwed up. I believed that if you treated people right, sooner or later they'd come around. Now I believe in locks. I believe in cameras. I believe in keeping a loaded shotgun under my bed. Because the truth is, once someone tries to ruin you, really ruin you, you never see the world the same way again. And maybe that's a loss too. A part of me burned up with that porch fire. A part of me Wade and Nancy took, even though they didn't win the way they planned. I'm stronger now, sure. But I'm harder too. Colder. Less trusting. Less open. And that's a cost you don't get reimbursed for, no matter how many court cases you win. Still, when the sun rises, I sit on my rebuilt porch, coffee in hand, Duke at my side. I watch the empty lot next door grow wild with weeds. I watched the neighborhood kids ride their bikes up and down the street. I watched the world turn without Wade, without Nancy, without fear. And I remind myself, they tried to take my life. Instead, they lost theirs. And that's about as close to justice as this broken world gets.